Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to our first episode of What's in the News. Today we're going to be talking about a Nigerian pharmacist in the UK who got suspended from practice and from her license. She basically got her license taken away from her for a short period of time because she was dishonest and she was working two jobs. Like, sis went to one person and said, hire me, I haven't got any other jobs. She got the job and she went to the other job and goes, oh, can you reduce my hours because I need childcare time? And she got that happen as well, and then she was working both together. Now I'm going to be talking about this from a very controversial perspective, so you want to stay tuned, because already when I went into the Chemist and Druggist article where I found it, I already saw people who were saying things that were contrary to what I believed. And I'm like, okay, if I put out this video, I'm going to be getting lots of backlash. But sit with me and yeah, let's just go into it. I really hope that this here, you know, ministers to someone. It gives you a bit of insight and it helps you in the future. Maybe something I say would remain with you to a point that it stops you from doing something that you probably shouldn't be doing in the future. But yeah, let's get into this story. So if you see me looking down, I'm just reading the story from my laptop, which is right on my lap here. So I will be reading it. It's quite a long one, so I'll try as much as possible to summarize it because we don't want this video to be too long. But let's go straight into the video. So the headline reads, dishonest pharmacist suspended for working two jobs. Now, reading it, her name was stated and her registration number. Now this is an authentic case of who are we going to make a scapegoat. Yeah, let's grab the pharmacist that just done this thing that is similarly minor, put her name out there, put her registration number out there, because I'm not really sure if I've been seeing other people's names and reg numbers when they be talking about like cases that lead to suspension or withdrawal of license. But anyways, let's get into it. So the story says Chioma Cynthia Uzoma, registration number, was handed the suspension at a general practice or General Pharmaceutical Council Fitness to Practice Committee hearing earlier this month, which was in May. She was employed to work full-time as a medicines optimization pharmacist at blah blah blah, and also worked as a pharmacist at dash. According to a determination document published by the regulator, Ms. Uzoma had previously confirmed to her first employer that she would be employed by that unit alone, working remotely due to COVID-19 from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But when she began work at the unit in April 2021, she simultaneously continued to work for the other employer for 2 days a week during Monday to Friday. So now, how did she get found out? She had actually been a pharmacist of good standing for many years and did not harm any patients with her misconduct, and admitted to the allegations against her early in the disciplinary process. That's aside. I want to know how they found her, right? So on the morning of Friday, April the 30th, almost a month into her employment at the second place, she could not be reached by her colleagues, which most of them are working remotely. So, I mean, they were quite surprised as to why they couldn't reach her because it's unusual. Anyway, she contacted them and said she had a really bad tummy and she couldn't go to work that day. That raised suspicions with them. I'm going to talk about this. And one of our colleagues approached her line managers to say that it's rather unusual for a staff with such illness to have not contacted their line manager anyways. Normally, if that kind of thing happens, you let someone know straight away, oh, I won't be working today, I'm really ill. I mean, it took over almost 2 hours into the work day before she finally reached out after they had been looking for her. So this whole thing was just raising suspicions, and they had already had suspicions about her because they checked her LinkedIn profile and saw that she was employed at a different place and she hadn't taken it off based on their current employment contract with her. So on her return to work, she signed a document and filled a form to certify that the information she gave was correct about her having an upset stomach and was not able to go to work that day. And I've been a manager, and people are slandering the company, or why did they have to make her sign a form? I've been a manager. It's standard procedure. You have to fill out a return to work form after you've had a sickness or absence, because they just want to make sure that they're covering their backs, that you've said you're ill and they're checking that you're okay to return to work, and you have to sign that everything you've said is true and correct. Right, so this suspicion was raised and then after she had signed that, oh yeah, this is what happened, they actually now contacted the other employer that she had stated on her LinkedIn profile, and the employer said she's still working with them. So she was working with one employer full-time, remotely, 9 to 5, and then she was working in person with another employer for 2 days a week, on Thursday and Friday. And she made up for all this time by working overtime on Thursday and Friday, late night into the next day. Mind you, she's a married woman with kids and a husband. Now, I'm not going to be speaking on this situation from a place of judgment, because I don't know what she's going through or what, you know, her needs might have been that pushed her to the point of having to do something like this. I'm removing her from the situation. I'm just going to talk about, you know, just the whole picture as a whole. I am not slandering her. I'm not coming at her, and I feel like she has gotten fair judgment and punishment, and I think that she will grow from this. And I pray that whatever she's going through right now, that God gives her strength, God gives her comfort, and God helps her to, you know, push through learning the lessons that she needs to learn, and, you know, moving ahead in her career when her suspension is over. So this is not about the person that they are trying to, you know, make a scapegoat here. Now I'm talking about the incident. She had a hearing and she admitted to, you know, her misconduct, which was basically lying, basically being dishonest. And she said she had a lot of things on her hands and she was juggling a lot. I'm just going to say exactly what she said was, she said she was naive and juggling a lot of things at the time. In her words, I was in a very difficult and stressed place and was still trying to outperform myself. So in the end, they still said, you know what, you were still dishonest and you're going to get this judgment. I'm going to leave a link down below to anyone who signed up to Chemist and Druggist and can actually access these documents if you want to read the full story. But this is a summary, right? So I've told you what she did, how they found out, and what her judgment was, which was a 6-month suspension, which I think is quite fair, to be very honest. So let's go into the nitty-gritty, right? This is a clean case of dishonesty, of a lack of integrity, and it's really sad that it happened to a Nigerian pharmacist, because I'm Nigerian and I understand that we're in a completely different environment to what we grew up in, and sometimes it might be tempting to, you know, grasp as much as you can, just because, you know, things work. You work for so many hours, you get paid for so many hours. We Nigerians are cultured to actually just strive for more, and we push and we push. People in my life see me and they're like, you never stop, and I'm like, see, I'm conditioned to just keep going. You can be earning 100 grand as a Nigerian in the UK and you think that's not enough, because you just think, oh, I could be making more and living a better life. Meanwhile, there are lots of Brits who grew up in Britain. They're earning like 5 times less than you and they're comfortable. They're not trying to do too much. Unfortunately, we're conditioned like this because our society that we grew up in was not the best, to be honest. And if you didn't have the extra money, you won't be able to live a comfortable life. Somehow we're just accustomed to this, right? And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of Nigerians bring this behavior to the UK. And the UK is a country that works. Their systems work, okay? You will get found out in a lot of cases when you're doing something dishonest. So it's best to not even start with dishonesty in the first place. Let's just keep it clean. Keep the slate clean. Do not do it. Now, the thing with dishonesty, right? One of the comments that I saw under this article was someone who said, well, There's a pharmacist who is like high on opioids. There are pharmacists who are doing this. There are pharmacists who are doing illegal stuff. There are pharmacists who are doing XYZ. They are not being put on blast. They are not caught and just embarrassed. They're not this. Why would they pick up on such a tiny case and bring it on here and just prosecute the person in public and da. Number one, I think what they did was they just needed a scapegoat. The thing is, if you put something like this out there, right, it warns other people and it tells them, be careful, because whatever you're doing that you think you might not be caught, you would potentially be caught at some point. And that's one. The second thing is, I think because the bigger crimes are not being caught does not mean that the smaller ones should not be apprehended if they actually do catch a person. Because the thing with little crimes, as little as lying, as little as being dishonest, is that you become comfortable with them, and before you know it, you find yourself doing things that are even worse. You start with, oh, lying about the day you are in or the day you are at work. Oh, I was here for 10 hours, meanwhile you were only there for 5 hours. Oh yeah, I worked all day. And I'm also speaking to myself, because integrity is something that you have to constantly strive for on a daily basis, because you catch yourself almost lying in certain situations and you have to just, you know, stop yourself. These little things, once you get comfortable with them, they start to eat deep and become bigger things. Do you think that the pharmacist who is on opioid overdose, stealing medications from the pharmacy and falling over in the pharmacy, started that way? They started from a tiny lie that they got away with, and then it just grew and grew and grew, and then it became something that now even them cannot control. Because when you get to a point where you're overdosing on opioids, those medications are in control of you now. You can't control the situation, and it's going to definitely lead you down the drain at that point. So I think it's actually a blessing in disguise. Unfortunately, it's gone this way and they've now put her on blast. They put her name and registration number and everything. But I think being intercepted when something is still really small is actually a good massive warning to stop you from, you know, getting to a point where you might never return from in the future. And I definitely think this whole situation, the punishment that they've given her, the fact that they put her hearing out there, it's all going to just help her to reflect on her practice. And the other thing is that when you start being dishonest at work, right, in as much as you might think, oh, these are little things, you never know who's going to get affected. So for example, she's working in a hospital and working from home remotely for 5 days a week. If she's working overnight to make up that time that she should have been working remotely, and then going into the hospital to work for 2 days, in as much as she has not caused any patient harm, there's still that risk. It's just you're giving the devil something to work with. Like, oh, I'm going to make her so exhausted that when she goes in, she makes so many errors and, you know, puts a lot of people's lives at risk, right? It's just you're doing things that can put you in jeopardy at the end of the day. It's so easy to think that, oh, this little thing, I will get away with it as long as it benefits me and just, you know, gives me something more. It's so easy to think that way, and I've been victim of this in the past. But the honest truth is that, number one, you shouldn't be having to work yourself to death, and number two, just don't be dishonest in the first place, because it will eat you deeply if you start. I know it's difficult because nowadays everyone tells white lies, but you know, just start every day by just telling yourself that you're not going to do anything dishonest. And it's not easy, but you can do it. And personally, with the help of the Holy Spirit, I've been getting convicted about even the tiny little lies that I may be tempted to tell, and in the end I see what the fruit of those lies can become in the end. So I'm just grateful that I am now starting to have that consciousness of not telling even the little lies. I used to be good. I don't think I really lied like that, but even now, even the little lies are coming to me as, okay, you need to not do that. So this is a warning for a lot of my Nigerian pharmacists, as well as any pharmacist out there. Any pharmacist out there, you are in a workforce that really needs you to have your integrity in check. because whatever you do, you've got a patient's life, a person's life at the end of it. Regardless of how you want to spin it, you are still going to be involved in dealing with someone's life. As long as you're working in a healthcare setting, you will be involved in dealing with someone's life. And if anything goes wrong, that's not something that can be rectified. So yes, if you find yourself in situations where you're having to tell lies, or if you're even currently in the middle of a lie, go and just think about it again. I don't think you should be doing that. Just stop it. Just stop it, all right? Because it's not going to end well. And sadly, Miss Uzoma here has been a scapegoat, and I just really hope everything goes okay for her. But I hope you're not going to be the next scapegoat. So if you find that you're lying, there's something in your career that you're lying about. Like every single time I've had to do a second job, I will tell my employer, look, in my current job, if I have to locum, I'll tell them, oh look, I'm locuming X number of days a week. Or and do not be dishonest about why you're not coming to work. It is very, very gross misconduct if you say you're not coming to work because you're ill and then you're doing something else. If you are found, you're going to be penalized. There's something I need to mention. This is for overseas pharmacists who are coming to practice in the UK, right? There's a culture in the UK where you think your colleagues are your best friends, because you know, when we all get into the office, we banter, right? We have fun, we chat, talk about each other's lives. You know, what do you have for, oh hello, what have you had for dinner? What do you have for dinner? You alright? How are you? Oh, what were you doing last night? Oh, I was chatting with my husband last night. You know, we talk, we banter, and we chat, and genuinely sometimes you might have really good friends at the office, but you gotta be careful, because a lot of people actually are out to just catch you in a lie or catch you in something that they can use to trip you off your feet, and you don't want to be victim to that. And the thing is that you cannot not be a team player, because that's another thing they can use to trip you off your feet. So you be a team player reasonably within limits, but you also make sure that you have a clean slate and there's nothing that anyone can use against you. We Nigerians already have poor reputation in this country, and it just hurts my heart so much that this is tied to a Nigerian. But hey ho, it is what it is. The rest of us can just keep trying as much as possible to, you know, keep the slates clean, so that because it really sucks sometimes, because I see people look at me and sometimes I can tell that what they're thinking in their head, oh, these dishonest Nigerians, or hope this one's not about to scam me, or oh, this one probably doesn't know her job, or oh, why is this one here, or why is this my pharmacist? Nigerians, God forbid. Even if they might not say God forbid, but they probably, I'm pretty sure someone has asked for them to have another pharmacist in situations where I've turned up. That's the reality of life as an immigrant in the UK. I think we should just stop shooting ourselves in the foot and just be honest. You won't die by being honest. Being honest is a virtue. And yeah, I hope you have learned a thing or two from this video, and I hope it blesses you. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What should Miss Uzoma have done? Do you think this is right? Do you think the GPHC should have put her on blast? Do you think the sentence was too harsh? Do you think this was just very minor? Why did they even talk about? Whatever you think, just let us know in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.